Listen, folks, we're not one of those shows that starts with the Dallas Cowboys just because. We don't. We always line up on sides and talk about the top stories or whichever parts of the narrative we feel is worthy of being discussed first. We don't do the Cowboys just because. We don't do the Cowboys for clicks.
Yes.
I just have to say this to start this program based off of what I saw on Sunday night. These Dallas Cowboys are for real. They are for real, and anybody out there that feels that this is like the previous eras of the Cowboys, the Romo and the Dez caught it era, that's the height of the clapping era, and Jason Garrett there. And then Mike McCarthy comes to this team, and he's one of those guys that's kind of a retread that Jerry Jones desperately reached out to, hoping that some way, somehow, McCarthy can conjure up that Packers team that won in the building in Dallas. The only championship that's been won in that building.
I was there.
It was the Green Bay Packers and Mike McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers over the Steelers, and hopefully McCarthy could be that guy, even though he was on the couch, and we're supposed to be taking a look at all those kids who have all those newfangled schemes. Kellen Moore, for instance. We see Mike McDaniel is going to be taking the Dolphins into battle on Monday night, and McCarthy shows up, and we see some of the same old, where the Cowboys are having trouble punching down on opponents that they should punch out easily, and crazy stuff happens at the end of games and issues with clock management and things of that nature. Right now, that team is not walking through that door in the Metroplex. What the Dallas Cowboys are right now, with Dak Prescott and this offense and that defense, and yes, that coaching staff, they are playing championship caliber football, and anybody out there that refuses to come to grips that this could finally be the year for the Dallas Cowboys, you best check yourself, because this could finally be that year for the Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott is playing the best football of his life, period. CeeDee Lamb is playing the best football of his life, period. This defense keeps on taking the licking in the injury department. Stephon Gilmore played Defensive Player of the Year of football last night. That pass rush playing the best football of their lives. The running game we were supposed to see, and we saw that in the first month and a half of the season. Hey, if I had told you in Week 14 we would be seeing Zeke Elliott ball out for the Patriots, you'd be sitting here thinking, well, Cowboys certainly miss him. I mean, gents, Rico Dowdle
And then with the Rico
is really playing good football. Tony Pollard isn't hitting the home runs every single time, but they don't need him to because the passing game is hitting the home runs. And what they're doing is getting this offense to 2nd and 3, and 3rd and 1, or first downs on 2nd down, or first downs on 1st down. That's what the offense is doing right now. Ferguson, you're supposed to think the Cowboys were like, what are you doing getting rid of Dalton Schultz? This fella at tight end is terrific.
Dog.
And you've got to give it up with what you're seeing right now. And what they're doing is winning in AT&T Stadium 15 times in a row now.
Whew.
And Dak Prescott is an MVP candidate for sure. And I know how the Niners have been looking. And I do believe home field advantage means a ton. Because if you think the Niners are the Dallas Cowboys kryptonite, and I'm still one of them.
I'm one of them.
You're one of them, and you're Mr. Cape over there. And you better have them come into your house. You go into San Francisco's, I think, a different ball of wax. That's where crazy stuff might be able to happen again. But that's for down the road. As for right now, they took the Philadelphia Eagles apart last night. Apart. Yep. And part of the difference might be that the Cowboys forced 3 fumbles in Philadelphia. The Eagles recovered all 3. And last night, the Cowboys forced 3 fumbles last night in what you would call plus territory on their side of the field. The Eagles were driving, and each time the Cowboys forced a fumble, they recovered it. Not just anybody fumbling. Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith.
Literally the three best
I will
players.
just give you, everybody keeps talking about the blueprint of beating the Eagles, right? Nick Bosa. Here's a blueprint. You get their three best players to fumble while they're driving in your territory, you're going to win a football game. Even when you give up a scoop and score to Jalen Carter, oh my God, that was one of the most freakish athletic things I've ever seen.
Big man fast.
He picked that football up like it was a handle and kept running.
Gone.
He had no one outrun but our line.
So Dallas even gave up a scoop and score and won by 20. That's how well they're playing football. Here's Dak Prescott rightfully taking the victory lap humbly after the game.
It was big. We needed it. Let's not sugarcoat that. We needed that. Obviously, I've talked about it before. Mike talks about grabbing a huge chunk of confidence and moving forward. And being able to do that against a team like that here at home, place that we've had a lot of success at over the last 2 years, puts us in front of the division, right? Does? Tied? Okay. But with a couple of games left with both teams, understand as I've talked about, it's about us running our own race and checking it out there at the end. But we got to turn the page quick, especially in this league, especially with where we've placed ourselves. I can't sit here and celebrate on this. This was our expectation of the night, and we played to our standards. So now it's about doing that again next week.
That's right. Next week against the Bills in Western New York, that's going to be watchable. We'll talk about that later on.
That's one way to describe it.
And also got to keep chopping wood, as you say, because they've also, after the Buffalo Bills, the Dallas Cowboys have two more very difficult games at Miami and then home for Detroit, which definitely seems to be a shadow of its first half of the season self. But games get tougher, as we all know, as December ends and January gets closer. And then they finish up at Washington. If the Cowboys win out, and the Eagles win out, you know who wins the NFC East? The Philadelphia Eagles, because they have a better conference record. They'd have the same division record. They'd have the same record against each other, 1-1, the same division record. And they'd have the same records in those first two tiebreaks, and then different places, because the Cowboys' loss, by the way, to the Arizona Cardinals might cost them at the end of the day. But the Philadelphia Eagles have a better conference record because one of those three losses was to the Jets. How about that? The difference would be that the Cardinals win against the Cowboys cost them in the conference record, and the Jets win over the Eagles did not cost the Philadelphia Eagles in the all-important conference record tiebreak. But that's for down the road. For the moment, let's give some flowers also to the head coach, because he doesn't get any. He gets zero. I mean, you see the press conferences for Jerry Jones, and you'll see it in a second on the Roku channel right here. It's just a scrum. There's a million people around the owner of the Dallas Cowboys. Then you see Mike McCarthy's press conferences. There's like 10 people in there. Okay, what do you got to say, Coach? And I think that's the way he kind of likes it. Maybe deep down he's like, I would like some flowers a little bit here. Because, again, let's not forget, the gentleman who wrote that deep dive on Sean McDermott, Ty Dunn, he wrote for Bleacher Report. We had him on back in the day. He's the one who wrote that deep dive on Mike McCarthy, getting massages and on Packers company time, and him and Rodgers. Rodgers was basically changing the plays because he had no confidence in McCarthy anymore. And then when Jerry Jones reached out to McCarthy, McCarthy's like, I've studied every snap of the Dallas Cowboys offense. And then when you ask him that, he's like, man, I never did that. And you're like, oh, God, here we go again.
We all fudge our
Mike
resumes
McCarthy's going to take this team, and then he's going to have Kellen Moore on there, and then he's going to send Kellen Moore to Los Angeles.
Beat it.
And then he's going to take over the play calling himself just as they turn things over to him. They get rid of Zeke. Like, how the hell is this going to work? Who's going to play wide receiver outside of CeeDee Lamb? And is he really even the number one wide receiver that he thinks he is? And is Dak Prescott, can he really be the guy under Mike McCarthy? The answer is yes, 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 hell yes. Seriously, this guy has taken on the added responsibility and is killing it. And don't forget, too, they kept Dan Quinn. He's supposed to be the coach in waiting, right? How's he going to coach with this guy up in the booth dominating on the defensive side of things? And Mike's just the caretaker, right? He's killing it, guys.
Yeah.
Some of these offensive plays are just lit up. And let's not forget again this week, he had his appendix removed in an emergency procedure in the middle of the week. And that's what Jerry Jones wanted to talk about, referring to him as El Cid. Check it out.
I never thought, you may remember the story of El Cid when he got mortally wounded. And it looked like his troops were going to quit because he wasn't going to lead them into battle. And so they strapped him on that horse and ran him down to the beach called El Cid. Well, Mike was strapped on a horse going down that beach tonight, and I called him El Cid before the game. But really, he just wouldn't go have it any other way to step out there and not even blink and make that game and do all the physical things it takes. And I'm sure proud of him and the messages that those nuances that make really a part of making great coaches. So I'm so proud of him, for him. I'm proud of the staff, and that's a big victory for the franchise tonight.
All right, so a couple things here. Yes or no, T.J. Jefferson,
yes,
when
sir.
you heard him say he was El Cid, do you think he was referring to Sid Fernandez? Yes or no? Real quick.
Just off the top of my head, yeah.
All right. No, it's El Cid, C-I-D, who, for those who might want to know, was a Castilian knight and ruler of medieval Spain back in the 11th century.
Not a big left-handed pitcher for the Mets.
No, not from Hawaii.
No.
That was my
Not
second
part of the
thought.
champion Mets. Do you think Mike McCarthy knows who El Cid is? The former toll taker there in Western PA? Doesn't matter.
I said, is he talking about Sid
It
Finch?
doesn't
What's going on?
matter.
Sid Finch.
We will remember this day.
Sidney Dean?
We will remember this day as either the high water mark for the Dallas Cowboys because they might trip up, not get the 1 seed, go to the playoffs, and fall short of the NFC Championship game again. Or the moment we remembered the Cowboys truly did beat a team of significance, went on a nice run, made an NFC Championship game, maybe even the Super Bowl, maybe even won it all. And then remember the day that Mike McCarthy proved, maybe forevermore, the only thing holding him back was his appendix.
It was tying them down.
W-A with appendix, Mike McCarthy, or W-O-A, whoa, Mike McCarthy.
Whoa.
1-0.
Without appendix, Mike McCarthy, look out.
1-0. He's never lost the game
Never lost.
without it.
Undefeated, minus his appendix. And so the Dallas Cowboys have a shot at the 1 seed now in the division, whereas if they lost last night, they wouldn't have. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.